So the rallying cry for this war is "Remember the Maine," and here we can see Teddy Roosevelt leading his what they called at that time Rough Riders into Cuba. He took San Juan Hill. Here you can see this is America, and this is the poor child Cuba who we're going to free from bondage because we're freeing her chains here, breaking her chains. Really, we attack Spain in the Philippines, and we attack Spain at Cuba, and we destroy two halves of Spain's navy pretty easily. Our modern navy takes out Spain's navy pretty easy. 2,500 soldiers died during this war for the U.S. But the thing about this war is 400 died of getting shot or wounded. 2,100 died of food poisoning or disease during this war. So as far as the 400 that died, that's not a bad for a war. A war we won. After the war was over, we signed a treaty which gave Cuba its independence. The United States got the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Guam from Spain. We still have Puerto Rico and Guam, but we no longer have the Philippines, which led to a war between the Filipinos and the United States. They didn't want to throw off Spain to get controlled by another country, so there was a revolution in the Philippines against the United States. 4,000 Americans died, not of diseases, but died fighting in the Philippines to quell that revolution. 16,000 Filipinos died. It was very bad blood between the Filipinos and the United States. We didn't give them their independence until after World War II. We did some bad things to the Filipinos back then. If you want to read about it or ask me questions about it, you can during class. But we did some very bad things to the Filipino people during our time of occupation. Free Cuba meant that the U.S. got to pick a government, and we picked a military government to run Cuba. A Free Cuba meant that we passed something in Congress called the Platt Amendment. And the Platt Amendment said that Cuba could not make agreements with other countries without our permission. We got to put military bases in Cuba, and the U.S. could intervene into Cuba whenever it felt like it. Not a very free for the Cuba. In fact, they would eventually have a communist revolution to get rid of American influence altogether. Puerto Rico, different story. Puerto Rico, they are U.S. citizens. They have all the protections of U.S. citizenship. They are not a state, so they can't vote in national elections. But just like Indiana, they have a governor and a state legislature. For Guam, Samoa, and Hawaii, we have a planters or a corporation in Hawaii that is running the fields, kind of like the Dole Plantation or the Dole Corporation. And those planters want more and more power. The Queen is not happy about it, so those planters ask the Marines to come in. We occupy the capital of Hawaii and take down their flag and declare it, and we annex it into the United States. It eventually becomes a state. If you want more details on how that happened, I can go over it in class. It's a very sad story. There's the last Queen of Hawaii right there. There's the Hawaiian flag. There they are taking down the Hawaiian flag for the last time over the Queen's Palace. Samoa is split in half. It was shared by the U.S. and Germany, still is. And in China, we force our way into China, but we do create something called the open door policy. The open door policy is an agreement amongst ourselves and European countries that all of us would have equal access to China, and they would eventually have a communist revolution in China to get rid of European and American influence. And I believe that's the lecture.